Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2014 Small Business Forum, which I believe this is our 15th year. So thank you for your time this morning, and we're looking forward to a jam-packed day with insightful speakers, lots of tactical seminars, and the opportunity to engage with a range of experts and local businesses that are here to help you grow your small business here in the City of Toronto. My name is Chris Rickett, and I work with the Enterprise Toronto Group at the City of Toronto. Enterprise Toronto is, of course, the co-host of the Small Business Forum, and we're really here to help small businesses in the City of Toronto, help get them started, but also help them grow here in the city. Today, I'm going to introduce our first panelist this morning. What we've done is we pulled together a group to talk about how to build an effective community relationship. This is brought to you by Metro2 Media, one of our sponsors for today. And really what we want to try to do through this panel discussion is really talk about the importance of a strong community relationship, and as it is a tool to not only drive sales, but also build your local brand and build a trusting relationship between your clients and your neighbors. This panel discussion will really provide insights into how to build that type of a relationship, but also connect you to tools and tactics that you can start to think about how you can implement and build upon these ideas to build your business's community relationships. I'll introduce our moderator, Peter Haggard, who's the editor-in-chief of Metro2 Media. Of course, Metro2 publishes community newspapers, websites, and magazines. And as editor-in-chief, Peter's goal is to promote the company's vision of being a catalyst for community development. I'll turn it over to Peter, who will introduce our three panelists. Peter?
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you all for coming today. I understand that the numbers of people expected today are phenomenal and more than anyone might have expected. That shows me a lot of things. It shows me a lot of interest. That shows me a lot of need. At Metro2, we're all about community. We publish community newspapers, community websites, community magazines. So this topic is near and dear to our heart as we work with so many small businesses across Toronto. This panel today is an outstanding panel of people with small business experience, lots of tales to tell, and lots of good information, hopefully, that you can take home and apply or just think about as you move forward with whatever your endeavors are. I'd like to introduce our panelists now, if I could, and I'll start right beside, no, I'm going to start on that side with Ivan Ho. Ivan Ho is the co-founder of Fit Factory Fitness. He followed his passion for fitness and founded Fit From Home Inc. in 2009, receiving the William F. Bell Young Entrepreneurship Award that year, Entrepreneur Award. In 2010, he started up Fit Factory Fitness with a business partner who's a former Marine drill sergeant. I love that one. With more than 7 years in the marketing and entertainment industry, Ivan's developed fundraising campaigns to give back to the community, working with Sick Kids Foundation, Rethink Breast Cancer, and St. Michael's Hospital, and has raised more than $100,000. Now, I can tell you, all of this is working out very well for Fit Factory Fitness. As we put this panel together, and I try and get a hold of Ivan, it's really tough because he's always at a construction site. So they're doing very well in their growth. And I'm going to actually go to Ryan next. Ryan O'Neill Knight. He's the president and founder of Detailing Nights, and he has quite an intriguing story. Ryan started and runs a mobile waterless car cleaning company that substantially reduces water waste. The company is known for its student franchising model and is the first auto detailing company to receive B Corporation certification for social and environmental performance. Ryan was named the 2013 Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year, big words, yikes, by the Toronto Region Board of Trade. Thank you, Ryan, for being here as well. And our third panelist, Camille Dundas, who you may know from CTV News. Camille knows the ins and outs of how to pitch a good story and keep the attention of producers and journalists. She has worked as a news writer and producer for Toronto's major news programs, including CBC National, CP24, Breaking News, City TV News, and CTV's Canada AM. Camille puts her experience to use as a media coach and marketing and publicity firm, 404 Media Group, delivering custom and public workshops to clients who want to understand how the media works and how it can work for them. So we've got experience on a number of different realms here. And I'd just like to ask each of these folks to tell us a little bit about why community and the importance of communal reach is essential to their business. And I'll start with you, Ivan.
Sure. Thanks, Peter, for having me today. I think community is very, very important. I had a discussion with my staff yesterday, talk about community, and a lot of people look at community as a geographical area, but really it starts from within. So with our business, it's important that we have a family environment, and it all starts within our staff, our very core group. We go into our members at the gym, our neighbors, and then our charities in our city. That, to me, is our community. And that's very important to us because family supports each other. So when we're going out there pitching groups like charities to work with us, it's very important that we go in there with a helping hand. We go in there with an idea that's very unique, that's something that they haven't thought of, and we come in there with our helping hand to negotiate that relationship with them. So it's very important, especially with our difference compared to all the other industry in the fitness business. It's very competitive. You know, you've got big boys like Good Life and LA Fitness that you're competing against. So our way of defining ourselves differently is that we're a family environment. So when people come in, we know them by the first name basis. We know them by who they are. We learn their backgrounds. We understand their needs, what their goals are, and we make their goals our goals. So I think that's very important when you create that relationship with anybody that you meet, is to understand who they are and help them achieve their goals.
I just want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
I saw a stat recently at a conference I was at.
Yeah.
They were talking about new clients versus existing clients.
Right.
What you're building is a lot of existing clients
Yep.
who you can reach in further ways to that.
Yep.
Can you can you take that anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I think existing clients is your core group. These are the people who've supported you from the very, very beginning. And these are your referral resources, per se, if you know what I mean. So I think it's important that as you're attracting new clients, that you're maintaining that relationship with your existing clients, because they're a great source that can bring you the new clients. So it's very important that you have that relationship with them beyond just a one-on-one customer kind of business owner approach, and you kind of build on that relationship as years go on. We have members that have been with us for 4 years plus. You know, that's pretty tough to get somebody to keep coming to your gym every day for 4 years in a row. So I think it's important to understand them, know who they are, and almost become a family to them.
Okay. And Camille, as I see here, your information, you're all about reach.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I specialize in trying to helping small business people figure out how to get that reach in the community. But I just want to talk about a third company that we have that wasn't mentioned here, which is probably more relevant to today. My husband and I founded an online magazine called ByBlacks.com. It's an online magazine that focuses on the Black community in Canada. And the reason why I think it's probably more relevant is because I guess my first tip is in terms of community, is to figure out who your community is and be loyal to them. And what I mean by that is, for example, in my media training business, when I first started, I had a few corporate clients, but I really enjoyed working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. Now, as we all know, we like the corporate clients because they pay more. But my passion was working with small business people and entrepreneurs, getting them to figure out how they fit into the media, because a lot of small business people think that it's impossible for them to get an interview on Canada AM or on City TV or wherever, but it's not impossible. You just have to know how to fit your business in. And so I found myself being, not really torn, but sort of still trying to market to that corporate client, because you want that big ticket client. But then it's a different image in your marketing when you're marketing to those people and when you're marketing to small business people. So, and when I do get those corporate clients, it's nice, but it's not my passion. And you have to stick to what your passion is to be successful. And so I figured out who my clients were, who my community is, who belongs in that community, and market to them. And I found more success in working with the people who I'm passionate about. With ByBlacks.com, the community we wanted to focus on. There are other Black online magazines out there that we followed, and they, in the Black community, we love to sort of to focus on the elite parts of our community, if I could say, the people, the elders, or the people who have accomplished something sort of amazing, or they have been in the community. They are sort of the trailblazers of the community. That's the trend that we found in the online magazines that existed, and that's fantastic. We need that. But what we wanted to do was to focus on the average people in the community who are doing above average things, who may not necessarily get covered in the media. Ryan was actually featured in our magazine a couple months ago, and we loved his story because he's just a regular guy who anyone can relate to, who created this amazing company. And so he really exemplifies the community that we're trying to reach. So we continued to look for and feature people like him, and those are the people that we stick to. And anytime we find ourselves sort of getting, strayed into, featuring those, and not that they're not worth featuring, but sort of those, bigger names in our community, they already have a space. We want to create spaces for people like Ryan so people can know about his business and what he's doing. So I guess that's my tip, is that know your community and sort of stick to them, be loyal to them.
Very good. Thank you very much. It's not hard to find Ryan, is it?
That's right. Sorry, I just want to do a quick poll of the audience. So who is currently running a company like right now? All right, and out of the people with your hands up, who has aligned themselves with a local charity? Excellent. Because what I wanted to really touch on is how being more community focused can pretty much bolster your business. Like for myself, when I was laid off in 2009 before my wedding, I realized that the community is now what pretty much saved my life. By going door to door and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna introduce myself, do you want your car cleaned, yes or no? And every day grinding, talking to everybody in my community, now I've created like an image, like your brand is now entrenched in your streets. So people, when they see you on the street now, they know you. They don't just know your company, they don't just know an advertisement that they saw in the paper, they know the actual person behind the company. And for myself, when we work with youth in detention centers, and they're very, I don't want to say selfish, but they're very limited focus. And what I try and teach them is you need to live for a higher purpose. Once you kind of step back from yourself and understand how you're affecting people around you, that's when your business is really gonna take off. And that's kind of why I feel community is really important.
It's very good. Thank you. Thank you. Can you just talk a little bit about your summer program?
Sure.
Building your business.
Right. Unfortunately, I found out early enough that since I taught myself how to run a company, there's a lot of unemployed youth that could use that same entrepreneur type training. Because I feel that every student, high school, college, should run a business at least once. And the government is actually giving you money to start a business, so why not take advantage of it? I actually started working part-time at the city to put in place these starter company grants and summer company grants, because students are really wasting their summers. Now they're going through the education system, how they're taught. Their parents might say, you know what, yeah, just go to school, graduate, university, college, and you'll be fine. But we're finding that 50% of them aren't finding jobs because they're graduating in this cluster of their classmates that are now all the same. So how do you put yourself above everybody else? And I feel if you run a company for the summer and we help you with using our detailing model as a guide, so we take you by the hand, we show you how to do marketing, how to do HR, how to do accounting, how to do your taxes, everything from start to finish. So it's almost like an entrepreneur crash test course. And now after that summer, you're more battle tested. The youth that go through our program, we have 100% employment rate. So if you know a student that is unemployed, send them to me, and I will teach them how to create their own job and not be out there begging for jobs.
So it's another aspect, another model that's been very successful for Ryan. Very good. I want to ask you all about your relationship building experiences, and what's your secret weapon? What do you use, or what do you find the most effective? And I'll start again with you, Ivan.
I think it all comes down to the basics again. When you meet somebody, a lot of people are so focused on, hey, my name is so-and-so. It's more your goal when you meet somebody is get to know that person. So just recognizing them by their name and their face and who they are, I think it's very, very important. So it's all about back to basics and just getting to know that person, understanding their needs, what their goals are, and aligning yourself with their goals and what they want.
Is that a philosophy you expect of your staff as well?
Absolutely. From the moment somebody walks into our door, it's all about, okay, let's find out who this person is, what their goals are, what their fitness goals are. They're not just a number to us, not just a customer that comes into the gym. They are going to be a part of our community. And we want to embrace that. We want to understand them, know their background, know their story. A lot of times when they're coming into the gym, they're walking in with a happy face because it's almost like a relief after a long day. They get to come into this sacred place where they get yelled at by my partner or some of my trainers, but at the same time—
That'd be the drill sergeant?
Yeah, the drill sergeant. And it's a lot of yelling. But just coming in here and being comfortable with the staff and talking to them about how their day went, how their weekend was, and just being that support for them. And just really understanding and listening to what they have to say.
Very good. Camille, what's your secret sauce?
Well, there's two things I think that we do. The one, I guess, secret may not be a big secret, but we sponsor a lot of events. So that does two things. It puts your company logo in front of a lot of eyes, hopefully if that event has a lot of people going to it. But even if it's not a hugely attended event, it's not about that. It's about, similar to what Ryan was saying with aligning yourself with charities, we align ourselves with community organizations or event planners or producers in our community who we think are putting on events that that work with our brand. That you have to make sure that whatever event you're sponsoring works in tandem with what your brand is about. Like, you know what I mean, right? Like, don't go out of your comfort zone on this one. So like if you're, like we're about the Black Canadian community, so we're not gonna be sponsoring events that are happening outside that community, put it that way. So that is important because it connects you directly, again, with your community, with the people who is your audience. The second thing that we do is in our staff model, in that we do have professional writers. We have over 30 contributors right now in the magazine, and many of them are professionals. Many of them have their own blogs, and they sort of cross over and write stuff for us. But at any point in time, I have between 4 and 5 students who are either in journalism school or they're maybe not in journalism school, but they're passionate about writing. And I have them under my wing, and I'm training them in how to be a writer. I'm giving them the experience that I paid $50,000 for in a university degree, that they may not necessarily have to do that now because they have direct access to someone like me who has 10, 15 years of experience in the business and can literally train them up through the process of becoming a writer. They can then take that experience they've learned with me and go and write for a major magazine or go and apply to a TV station. So it's sort of remembering, the reasons why you started. Part of the reason why we started this business is just me being in the media and seeing the lack of representation of our community in mainstream media. I wanted to make it a personal goal of mine to try and train as many Black men and women as I could to encourage them to be in the media. So I do that every single day through the people that we have working in our company.
You make two very good points, and I want to go back to sponsorship for a minute, because at Metro2 we obviously sponsor, and there's lots of activities in the community. And one thing we say is no two sponsorships look the same. Sponsorships are always sort of negotiated or dealt with the needs of the people. Can you give us some examples of some unique sponsorship, how to handle a sponsorship if you haven't done one?
How to handle a spot? Well, I guess first figuring out who to sponsor, like which types of events to sponsor, I guess. We just look for events that align with what we're trying to do. I don't think there's a particular formula for it, but the person you have to have something to offer them, right? So you can't just go around taking a list and just think you're gonna go and slap your brand on there and they're gonna be okay with that. So you have to let that event or that company know that you have their best interest at heart, that you genuinely want to help them. So I can only talk for what we do.
Yes.
We have sort of a wide social media reach. And so whenever we are a sponsor of something, we will promote the hell out of whatever they're doing. And so we promote their stuff on all of our social media accounts, and we're on every one, like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. We're on everything. So we really offer them a heavy rotation of promotion. We kind of make it our own. The one thing I hate most about sponsors is when you bring on a sponsor and they don't give you anything in return. You know, even if we sometimes give financial sponsorship, but we rarely do that. It's usually an in-kind thing. But we really try to make it our own. Like, remember every single day, like, treat this event like this is your event. That's I think the key to making that relationship one that you can go back to. Because if I have a sponsor on board any one of my events and they don't do what I sort of get to the level that I expect, I'm not gonna go back there again. And so it's good to have a sponsor that you can go back to every single year, because that also helps with your brand building in the community, because people keep seeing that brand over and over. So many times, for example, we sponsored the Jerk Festival this year, and we had between, I think, 5 people contact us and say, I saw your logo on this event, what do you do? I would love to be featured in your magazine. I would love to write for your magazine. So that one sponsorship in particular had a lot of feedback from that. So it does work
So
if you keep doing it.
You get creative in what you offer them.
Oh, yeah.
And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's you showing a sincere interest in the
Yes.
event.
Yes.
And being part of it, and ownership.
Yeah.
How about your relationship building,
Yes, the
Ryan?
secret sauce. So for those that brought their notepads, if there's one thing that you write down from anything that I say, it's this: personalized notes. When you encounter a customer or a client, have one takeaway. And from that takeaway, if they have kids, that is perfect. That's like a gold mine. If you write a personal note and say, hey, I know you, well, for us, like, moms are in a rush, they have to get to the soccer game. Oh, how did Johnny do at the soccer game? Just wanted to thank you for using our services. They will put it on their fridge and remember you forever. So the second secret sauce that we use is actually hosting fundraising events. So we'll do a big car wash event for different local community. Let's say one that called us was Knight's Table, and when they called us, I'd been seeing their name all the time, and I'm like, yo, what took you so long to call me? Like, it was a perfect match. So if you could use your company to do an event for a local charity that you're aligned with, that'll put you ahead of everybody else.
I can just give one more example
Absolutely.
Of one that it actually didn't come to fruition because of scheduling, but just an example, there was a filmmaker that we featured who was making a film about blacks in hockey, and we were organizing with him to host a fundraiser at a restaurant that we have a good relationship with that doesn't charge us to use the restaurant, and so we were able to get him a place for free. And then we're going to organize a fundraiser to help him raise funds to finish making his film. And he had relationships in the hockey community, so he was getting various hockey players like PK Subban, et cetera, to come to this charity event. And we were going to take it on and promote it as our own event, but give all the proceeds to him to finish making his film. So choosing people that are featured in our magazine and helping them to actually grow something in real life would be like perfect for us. That's a perfect, like, we would love to do that, to say, like, you know, we featured Ryan here and now we're helping Ryan, like, you know, create another part of his business somewhere else. Like, taking it from A to Z is really what you want to do.
Perfect.
And
Partnership.
one more, I guess, addition to the personalized notes. A lot of you might do pitches for clients, like if you're into marketing and trying to get gigs. If you don't get the gig, send a personal note thanking them, understanding that they didn't choose you, but notes stay around. So the next time that a colleague of theirs is looking for a person with your skills, they're going to remember you. The next time they're looking for another engagement that you qualify for, they're going to remember you. I've heard stories where a person sent a personalized note to a client that they didn't get the job. And because the person that did get the job didn't come in fast enough to sign the paperwork, they're like, wow, you sent me a personalized note, you didn't get the job. You know what? They didn't sign the paperwork. If you can be here by 7 a.m., it's yours. It'll put you on a different level if you send personalized notes.
Very good. Yeah, there we go, sold.
Write it down.
Ivan, can I ask you to talk a little bit about community events you may have held, or I know you've had a few there that
Yeah,
quite creative.
Yeah, we've had several events. We just did an event recently with the multiple sclerosis of Canada. And we went in there with a very, very unique approach. Before we did, we obviously did a lot of research, understanding who they are, what kind of events they've done, how they do their fundraising. They have their annual MS bike walk, and then their the MS bike run, and then their MS walk. So as you know, a lot of people with MS have physical difficulties dealing with day-to-day things. So we went in there, we pitched them, you have your walk, you have your bike, which is kind of on the beginner activity level, but why not try something crazy? Why not do something really, really super challenging? And we pitched them a mud obstacle adventure race. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. They thought it was completely out of the box, very innovative, something that they've never done before. And the name that's funny we came up with was Muck MS. And the marketing was muck you, muck your friends, muck everybody. And the event was a 5-kilometer, 20 obstacle course. And we ran the first pilot a couple weeks ago in Hamilton, and that was their biggest first-time event ever. And when they did the stats, 80% of the people are already associated with the MS Society, but they've never participated in their bike or walk event. So it was a huge success, and we raised $100,000 for the MS first year, and hopefully we can do that again each year.
So you have this out-of-the-box solution to draw
Yep.
a new community into the MS cause, and
Exactly.
mostly people just want the t-shirts.
Yes, or they get muddy.
Very, very good. And that kind of leads me into the next discussion, and this is a little bit tougher, but where do you go next? How do you stay ahead of the crowd? Because there's 100 others nipping at your heels for the same kind of services. How do you stay ahead, and what tools do you think work to do that?
I would say social media is key in that. Social media is so key for us, and while there are people who will advise sort of, and it's based on your business, you don't have to be on every single platform. If your business doesn't have that much of a visual component, maybe Pinterest is not for you, that's fine. But our business has many components, so we're on as many social media platforms as we can find. And the reason why it's so important, it's the quickest way to keep your ear to the ground in a digital age, right? So we want to know what people are talking about. We want to know what trends are happening. We want to know what people care about. And it's a very easy way to test certain things as well, because you always want to test what people care about. So when you put something out there, and it always amazes me the things that people care about, because it's usually not what you think. When I look at things that I post on Facebook that get 1 like, and something I post on Facebook that gets 150 likes, it really blows my mind. And it's the best way to figure out what people want from you, and then you can figure out how to deliver that.
Ivan?
I think Camille made a very good point. I think it's important to listen to your demographic, to your clientele. Get feedback from them. Without measurement, without evaluating your clients, you can't really take your business, your ideas to the next level. So it's very important to have a fresh mind, to be very open-minded, and try and be unique. I mean, there are so many other business owners, people in your industry that are competing against you. How do you stand out from them? And being innovative, thinking out of the box, and doing something crazy. You know what? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you tried. I think that's very important. And it doesn't matter how many times you fail. You're going to find your way somehow. So I think it's very, very important to just figure out what it is that you can do to stand yourself apart from your competitors. And be unique, be very innovative, and I think that's a very key thing right now, especially with the social media. Everybody's trying to build a viral business, but the only way to do that really is to create something nobody's ever done before. So,
Very good, Ryan.
Yeah, for me, it's always thinking the 5 years ahead, because I feel like I have a strong message to give with entrepreneurship and using it as training. So now I've been able to introduce it to schools. So when I go into schools and talk about entrepreneurship, now when they graduate, they're going to be thinking about our company. Instead of just thinking, okay, how am I going to get the next client? How am I going to get the next customer to buy tomorrow? You have to think of how do I get young people to know about me, so that in 5 years when they're ready to buy, or 10 years when they're ready to buy, they think of you. And it's kind of hard to think, okay, I'm going to go to a school and talk about my business, because schools will stop you at the door and say, listen, we don't want advertising in the schools. So think of what message that you're actually living towards. Why you're running your company, and what message out of why you're running your company could benefit a young person. Like maybe it's your personal story. For me, it's like I built myself back from the ground up, and you can do the same thing. There's probably 90% of the kids in the class that are smarter than I am. So if I could do it, you can do it. It's as simple as that. So whatever your unique story is, turn it into a message and deliver it to people that could benefit from it.
I can just give a similar example of what I do with my media training company. Again, as I was telling you with buyblocks.com, one of the personal goals I made is to encourage Black men and women to get involved in media. And so I have media training sessions for corporate companies, but mainly for small businesses and entrepreneurs and authors. But then I have one for kids. And it's an introduction to media training, and it's the one I enjoy the most. So I go into the schools and I teach the kids how to write a news story, and then I get them to do a mock newscast and to pretend to be the anchors and the cameraman and the producer, and I bring in a professional videographer and lights, and I set up the whole classroom. When they walk in, they're like, wow, and it looks like a studio. And then they get to read the news on camera, and I give them a copy of it to go home with afterwards. And it's the most fun, because you know kids are insane. They say the funniest things, and they're just brutally honest. And so through that, maybe one of those kids will come back and want to write for us. I've had kids who I've done that program for email me and say, can I write for you? And I help them along, or I refer them to somebody else. And then maybe 10 years from now, one of them will have a business and they need media coaching for that business. So it really is hard to think that far ahead when you're hustling, when you're trying to make money, it is. But take those moments to, and as I was saying in the beginning, to always go back to who your community is and why you started this business, what your goal is, and do things in the community that will engender that.
Very good. Now we have just slightly under 10 minutes left. I have one more question I can ask, but we have time for questions from the audience as well, if anyone's inclined. So please, I believe there are mics out there for questions. I can't really see, I'm sorry. But please visit the mics if you have questions. I'll just ask you three while we see if folks come forward. How do you see, in just your own visions, the relationship between a small business and the customer changing over the next few years?
For me, I feel like, well, everybody has seen is changing, because with social media now, you can pretty much stalk your customers. You know so much about them before they come, and they know so much about you before you come up to the door. So really polishing your online image is going to be instrumental, because as soon as somebody looks you up, even if you're the best at whatever you do, if your Google Plus local pages looks ugly, they're gonna skip you. If your LinkedIn picture is you like off to the side selfie, they're gonna skip you. If your email address is still misshatihati@hotmail.com, they're going to skip you. I'm talking to the kids that are looking for jobs. Please don't send me those emails. But polish your brand, because people can research you to death.
Yeah, and one of the ways I think to do that is actually through the media, not just social media, but one of the quickest ways to raise your credibility is by getting media interviews. So if you can pitch yourself to start with, if you've never been had an interview before, start small, start with a blog, get interviewed by a blogger, get interviewed by a YouTuber, and then move on to a community newspaper, pitch your local TV station, Rogers, there's so many of them in all the different, and then move up to try and go to a bigger station, like a national, like a CTV, or Canada AM, or CP24. I can help you with that. I have an event on November 10th specifically teaching small business people, authors and entrepreneurs how to figure out how to pitch my business to the media. I have a panel of producers and journalists from CTV, Global, Metro newspaper, who will be there to give advice on how exactly to do that. It's one of the quickest ways to raise your profile, because when you can put a link to an interview on your website from CTV or from Global News or whatever, people are like, oh, okay, and it's a quick way for them to learn about your business. It's literally free publicity if you know how to pitch to a producer. I think we have a question.
I think the other panelists are very correct. I think with technology nowadays, it's so important to have a good online profile to social media. But I think more importantly, at the same time, Social media is a good way of connecting to your clientele, but at the end of the day, they're gonna call you. They're gonna come visit your storefront. They're gonna come and see you in person. And you really have to work on your personal approach. It's very important that when they see you, that you understand them, that they understand you, and you align your goals with their goals, and that they see that you're able to help them. So I think it's very important to work on your personal side as well, your face-to-face interaction. You guys all know first impression is always the last impression. So, it's good to have a nice social media profile, but then when it comes to you, you can barely speak the language. That makes it hard to get their business. So I think having both is very, very important.
Yeah, especially like with consistency, because if they see your image on LinkedIn and they see the image on your website and they see the image of you in real life and it's seamless, it's like they already know you. It's like you can engage with them because they're comfortable. If, like Ivan said, your LinkedIn looks amazing, your website looks amazing, and they come to see you and you're dungy, your gym's dirty, and you're unprofessional, it's an automatic no.
Yeah.
So just to add to that.
Yeah.
Very good. We have a question here, and if you want to speak it, I'll reflect it to the audience if you like. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Not yet?
Hello? Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. My name's Nancy Liu, and my question is, I think because we're all here, most of us are people who are either starting up a business or already have one on the go and it's still at the initial stages. So my question is really about motivation and understanding the people that you are, each of you. Could you please, in order to understand motivation, I want to ask you, who are you? What motivates you on a human level to do what you're doing? Like, why are you doing this? What's the inner desire that's coming out? What is your mission statement?
I guess I'll take that.
Go ahead.
Since I ummed out loud.
You got such a good start.
Ladies first.
Well, in terms of who am I, I'm a mom, and I'm a person that cares about other people. And I think that informs everything that I do. What motivated me to build my media training business was a frustration. And I was working as an intern at City TV at the time, and this was in 2008, 2009, when we were having all the protests in Toronto in the Sri Lankan community. Does everyone remember when they were closing down the Gardner and all those huge protests that were happening in Toronto? It was a big news story for us. And they were getting a lot of attention, but they were having some problems with producers in terms of knowing how to write a good press release and following up. Again, with the in-person, it didn't match. When we called, they wouldn't call back, etc. And there were so many complaints I would hear all the time about this community. I thought to myself, well, if no one tells them how to do better, then how are they going to know? And then I asked the question I want you all to ask yourself is, why not me? Be bold and brave to say, why not me? When you see something, a problem that you think you can fix, say, why not me? And so I called them up and I said, hey, this is what the media thinks about you. It's not good. Do you want to change it? They said yes. They were my first client. Boom. So, and that was only because I was bold enough to say, why not me? To pick up the call. And it was funny because I did all the negotiating over the phone. And when I got there in person to do the training, they said, oh, you're so young. And they said, is there anyone else coming? I said, no, it's just me. It's just me. But after the training, what did they say? They said, everyone I know should do this training. They gave me the most incredible feedback ever. And they were my first client. They never knew it, but they were my first client. And so I kept going based on that. I knew there was a problem that I could fix. I had the audacity to say to myself, you know what? I have the experience to know this. I know what I'm doing. I have this high value information I can give to people. When, for example, the first time I had my first event, my husband does events all the time, so he's used to it. But I was very scared, and he couldn't understand why. We put out the event, we released it on social media. The very next day, someone on LinkedIn wrote a comment under my profile saying, this event seems ridiculous, and blah, blah, and these like 2-bit people that you have on here, whatever. And I had Pooja Honda from CP24. I had a producer from CTV Canada AM. Like, these were people, like high-level people. So, but yet still, that made me doubt myself for a millisecond, okay? And I was like, and I'm like, this is why I didn't want to do it. This is why I didn't want to do it. But then I had to push that aside, and you have to, again, go back to your why not me and be like, yo, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. I'm good. You do you. I'm going to do me. And I responded to the comment and I said, these are the people who are on it, so if you want to check their profiles, go ahead. So just keep with it.
Oh, go ahead. To keep motivated, how to keep motivated, what I use is finding the small, something that you can keep persistent and consistent. Every day, it's two simple tasks that you could start with, and then that'll get the momentum rolling. If you wake up and sit in front of your computer and try and figure out what to do, you always get roadblocks. Like, that's the issues that I had. And now, I guess my higher purpose that I work for is working with students that are coming from detention. Because we find that once you're released, that gap between employment and being released is when people reoffend. And I had that issue, not that I was incarcerated, but I had a record, and finding a job when you have to check that were you convicted eliminates you right away. So now teaching them that they can create their own future and showing them the consistent and persistent things that they can do every single day that'll help build their business is what keeps me motivated and keeps them motivated.
I think when you're listening to the other panelists speak, I think one thing that you can easily point out is passion. I think motivation is fueled by passion. As an entrepreneur, you love what you do. I think business is one thing, making money is one thing, but really what helps you wake up in the morning is doing something that you truly, truly love, whatever that may be, and finding that passion within. I think from what I've learned in my short career is that there's going to be ups and downs in business. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. At the end of the day, I think you need to, did you lose me? No. I think at the end of the day, you need to work for a purpose and live for a purpose and find out what that purpose is. Ask yourself, what is that you want to do in life? If that's something that you want to do, you have no problem doing it, no matter how hard it is, how difficult it gets. So find your passion.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. You've got a terrific first panel to kick off a great day. I want to thank once again Ivan Ho, Camille Dundas, and Ryan O'Neill Knight. Thank you very much for your
time. I'll be right over here
time.
if you want to talk more. I'll stick around.